Greetings, everyone, and welcome to No BS Baking. Got JP here, and today I want to talk once again about making baking work for you and your schedule. Now, videos are everywhere talking about baking bread in 10 minutes, and I think we all know that this is impossible from start to finish. But what is realistic is that the actual amount of work that you need to do for just about any bread is well under 30 minutes. I mean, yes, there are exceptions, and depending on the product, but many bakery items can be prepared well within this time, and the rest is all taken care of by time and temperature. Now, the actual work aspects are one thing, but in today's busy world, having the time to be there for a full baking cycle can be a problem. And that is why I rarely bake same day. Now, I usually prep one day in advance when I have a few minutes. Now, either using a recipe I know is solid, or if it's a new product, I definitely would take a few extra minutes and ensure the recipe is sound before proceeding. As you guys know, I use bricks for quick and under 1 minute analysis and adjustments, but you can do your own math and figure all this out however you normally do your recipe evaluation. Nothing is worse than spending even 1 minute baking if the product is a nightmare at the end of everything. So then I simply cover the product and place it in the refrigerator overnight and work it into my next day's plan. Now, most bakery products that contain flour benefit from overnight in the fridge, so why not? That said, there are exceptions. Now, some types of non-yeast items that rely on having a light, airy texture, like certain cakes, are not recommended, as are some types of pastry and other specialty goodies. But in many instances, overnight refrigerated is not lazy baking, it's desirable. So, as an example, we all know pastry is almost the poster child of chilled dough. Yet, as you'll note, some pastry styles are the opposite and are not. Now, some styles of cake batter can handle overnight in the fridge, while others simply will not. In general, when it comes to cake, they rely on air incorporated into the batter to create that nice fluffy texture. And this doesn't hold up best when overnight refrigerated. So the general recommendation here is do not do it unless you have a specific product and a plan in place. If you need a moment to stop the video to read this, please do it. Drop cookies are commonly made with an overnight cold process, which contributes to enhanced flavor and reducing spread. Now, some cookie styles do not produce the desired results when the batter is cooled excessively or even at all. Now, the great news about these items is that from start to finish, they don't really take that long anyway. So for items that do not benefit from chilling, why bother? Items like bread, where the total process could be a half day or more, overnight, in my opinion, is the only way to go. And it's not just about the scheduling convenience, it's about the fantastic benefits that you receive. From enhanced flavor to beautiful dough conditioning, providing a softer, more extensible dough that's drier, easier to work with, and less prone to stressing when final shaping. Now, here are some of the key benefits that you can consider that just to give you another reason to lazy bake your way into a second day. Um, Day two is my favorite. I mean, there's no mess to clean up really. Just divide it into pieces I want, place it into a pan or on a pan, and let time and temperature do its thing. Now, when I make bread, I am just about always somewhere between 1 to 1.5% instant yeast. Stiffer dough, I maybe use a little more. Slacker dough, a little less. But generally, no matter what I use, my target is double in size in around 1 hour of rest time and final proof in around 1 hour. That is why I ensure proper dough temperature after mixing. It's not about just adding warm water. It's about add the right temperature water to deliver a final dough temperature of around 74 to 79. I mean, this is a baking standard all bakers are taught and that they adhere to. Now, with my yeast in balance and final dough temperature in line, I always get double in size in around 60 to 75 minutes and final proof around the exact same time. Now, when I'm doing an overnight cold process, I always start at 1% instant yeast. Not sometimes, always. And has never failed me whether I'm in the tropics or back here in Canada. At 1% and a proper working refrigerator, I almost always get 12 hours before my dough doubles in size. In this instance, I also like to keep things a bit cooler. I like to be under 74 or 23 degrees Celsius. From my experience, this works perfect for me. Now, keep in mind again that softer doughs may come quicker, stiffer doughs may take longer, and this is why I always recommend weighing ingredients. Even with just 10% more flour added, because of how I measured that day, can make a big difference in the consistency and timing of the dough. Now, if I got up in the morning and saw that my dough was double in size in 12 hours, then I may want to adjust the yeast for my next time round. Let's say I want 16 hours instead. Then I use simple ratio and proportion to pull things a little bit closer together, like in this example. So where I'm going with this is that no matter what process you use, the rules are almost the same. We simply use time and temperature differently, but both objectives remain double in size prior to final shaping and panning. So where are we right now? So we pulled out the dough out of the fridge and we scaled it into, let's say, 2 loaves of bread. You shape them and pop them into 2 standard 9x5 bake tins. That's about 3 minutes. You know your dough weight, you know your pan capacity, and you're feeling really good that it's sitting around 51%. Now, I'm going to mention dough weight to pan capacity again because so many folks I see out there online are wondering why their breads are dense, underbaked, gooey in the center. Now, in these communities, folks are quick to say, "Ooh, it looks underproofed. Ooh, it looks undermixed. Yeast may be old," etc. Now, the importance of dough weight to pan capacity is commonly not even a thought in many of these communities. But for the trained eye, it is quick to note as a primary contributor to the issue at hand. And just remember, the right weight, yeast in balance with time objectives, and consideration of temperature, and everything becomes predictable. Now, obviously, when we pull the dough from the refrigerator, it's cold, so understanding how long we need the final proof can be helpful. Now, I don't want to be peeking under the cloth every 15 minutes. I have other things to do. So here's a math equation you can use for getting your time nailed. Just kidding. I have a simple guide that was created based partially on this model, but simplified for home baking use. If you're interested, take a moment to stop the video. So here you will note the approximate proof times you can expect from totally chilled to fully ready for the oven final proof. Now these are guides subject to things I listed here, as well as how much dough you have in the pan. The heavier the dough mass, the longer it takes to warm up, but these times will keep you in the ballpark. And then it's just about popping it into the oven, baking the item, cooling it, and enjoy. Now the point of this video is that by using the overnight cold process, anyone can make the time to bake amazing home goodies in little time, with no stress, and on your schedule.